Right now in the studio, Bob Lind is here. Bob, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Michael. I'm so glad you invited me on. You know, you're the only, almost the only reason that I would drive down to Miami. I hate that drive, but I have three reasons to go down to Miami, and two of them are right here to do your show. And then what a surprise that Alexis is here, who owns the Luna Star Cafe and came down here to see me live. And she's seen me live a zillion times.
Well, exactly. How far did you have to drive to get here?
Listen, don't minimize the pain of trying to find this place where, you know, Surrey just gave us hell. I don't know how far. We come from Boca.
Okay. Well, that's not that far. It's not that bad.
Oh, shut up.
Was there a time when you were on the road doing a lot of traveling?
Oh, still not right, not during this COVID thing. Yeah. But sure, I know what that's like. It's just Miami is a particular nightmare for me. Trying to get around here, trying to get down here.
And they're doing a lot of construction downtown as
There you go. Now you're making my case.
Yes, and in fact, I warned you, if you can't make the turn off to Biscayne Boulevard, you're going to end up on that island where all the cruise ships were, and that's what
Yes, we know.
Well, congratulations. You got here early enough
All right.
to be here. And you got a new album. That's why I invited you.
Have a new album out, yes, which is obviously to see your shining face is one, but to promote this album. And
it's not, how many albums do you have?
well, let's see. There's one I don't count, so I guess seven albums because I hate to record.
Was it your first album that had Elusive Butterfly?
It was the
on
first album ever, yeah.
That I imagine would spoil you quite a bit, because that Elusive Butterfly was covered by over 200 people. It was a massive hit. There must be disappointing that you couldn't. Well, you haven't replicated that song.
No. I did it on a live CD that I did at a little place called the Luna Star Cafe.
Alexis, yes.
No, the thing is that if we're talking about money and you're talking, yes, and I finally come to terms with it. Yes, I have written a classic song. It was 56 years ago, and people are still recording it. You know, but that's certainly not where my head is now.
How much? I read in your Wikipedia page that Sonny Bono was supposed to help you, but he did you meet Sonny?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. Sonny and Cher. I wouldn't say close friends with them because they were on a whole nother level, but they were great to me. Yeah. Cher recorded two of my songs, and Sonny and Cher recorded one together. And by the way, the 200 covers, that's covers of all songs. That's not necessarily 200 of all Elusive Butterfly. There's about 75 of Elusive Butterfly.
Oh, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I do, as a matter of fact. And people can't believe it when I say this. I like Petula Clark's version of it. She slows it down. She does it completely different from the way I do it. And I like that when people do my songs and they show me something that I haven't seen in the song before or heard. It makes me happy to know there's another dimension of it.
Oh, it's so cool. Well, that original song of yours was with strings. It was, you could claim it was one of the first folk rock songs.
One of them, yes.
How did that arrangement come about? Did you have input in that?
No, and I didn't want it because I came here, and Jack Nitzsche, who is, you know, a legendary composer, and he was Phil Spector's right-hand man, and they assigned him to produce me, and I didn't know anything about recording, so I just whatever you say, I come here and show up, and I haven't liked recording. I guess I liked it at first because it's exciting. Oh, look, I'm making a record. But I would much prefer to play in person, you know, and because there's a freedom there when it's just me and my guitar. That said, I want to say that this new album, it's called Something Worse Than Loneliness, is my favorite album. I think it's the best work I've ever done. And part of it is Jamie Hoover, who produced, and some great players. I bet George Wurzbach has done your show.
Yes.
Yeah.
He played blues guitarist.
Yeah, no, George Wurzbach is the keyboard player.
Oh, that's right. Well, he passed away recently, didn't
No, God, I hope not.
I'm thinking of someone else, obviously.
No, George Wurzbach is he plays keyboard and he plays the acoustic venues.
Okay.
But and I'm so proud to have him. You know, so I'm really happy with the album. But
so how much input did you have on the sound of the new album?
Well, the new album, I worked very closely with Jamie, and that I did have some. I would just tell, hey, Jamie, this is what I'm looking for. And actually, I didn't have to tell him much because A, he's got incredible chops, and B, he loves my music. So, you know, there was a sort of easy communication. And he's done my last 3 albums.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So we've found a way to work together.
Oh, so how did you find Jamie?
Jamie, so it's a long story, and I don't want to take the whole program up, but he started sending me. I didn't know who he was. There was a group called the Sponge Tones, and he'd send me these. Back then, it was vinyl. Send me these records, and I wasn't really crazy about the Sponge Tones. I had no idea the versatility this man has. And then later on, somehow we got together, and he did this DVD that I did. There was a documentary on me, and he played in the band and sort of the musical director of the band. And I just couldn't ask for a better producer.
Oh, that's great.
And he's playing most of the instruments on the album.
I was also surprised by your diversity because you don't only write songs. You're a novelist, and you recently you wrote a few plays.
Yeah, and a screenplay that won the Florida Screenplay Competition back in 1991.
Were they produced those plays?
No, some of the plays were, but no, that was just something that they were trying to get the film industry on its feet, and they opened up this contest, and they got thousands of scripts, and I was one of the 8 winners, and.
Well, that's quite an accomplishment. Do you have a favorite? Do you enjoy writing songs better than writing plays or novels?
Absolutely. Well, music is it for me, really. But no, I don't know why I do one or not the other. It's just they seem to run in cycles. You know, I'll write prose for a while, and then I'll write song.
Bob Lind is here in the studio, and he does have a new album out. We're going to play a song from the new album and see what it sounds like. But
That
first,
is so brave of you, man.
why? Because it's not a folk album.
Yes, exactly. And let me tell you something. And James Lee Stanley, by the way, said to tell you hello.
Oh, sure, James,
and he
sure.
he played it on his album, which is acoustic. You know, so I mean, on his radio show, which is acoustic. So I appreciate getting to play live, and I appreciate you playing the song.
Speaking of playing live, I just saw a great version of you doing Elusive Butterfly on YouTube, doing from Hullabaloo. Do you remember that at all?
Well, I remember it because I've seen the clip several times. You know,
But you look great. You look so good.
Oh, I bet you say that to all the boys. You devil. Yeah.
But it must have been really fun times.
It was, but it was a dangerous time for me. I was very drunk and very wiped out on a lot of drugs, bad drugs. And
well, that's the first thing that comes up on your, I think, Wikipedia page, that you've been clean and sober for
44 years.
That's amazing. Good for you.
Thank you.
Did you, I mean, I imagine that's scary because you might think you lose some of that creative spirit when you do away.
Yeah, you think that because your disease wants you to think that. Yeah, I can't be creative with that. And then later on, when you take a look, you know, you see it was the drugs and the alcohol that was killing the creativity. I mean, you know, that'll eat you alive.
I can imagine how difficult that was. Did you go to treatment?
No, they didn't have that stuff then. This is 1977. They didn't have those. I mean, I guess they might have had rehabs and you know, but basically, I did it with the help of some friends who don't like me to name their organization.
Well, I congratulate you because I know how difficult that. I mean, I don't know personally how difficult that is, but I imagine there was.
Yeah, it's know what it is, Michael. It's perspective, because to me, sobriety isn't hard. It's drinking that's hard. You know, it kills you and kills you in very important ways, even though you're still putting breath in your lungs. You know, so many things begin to die in you if you keep doing it.
Are you surprised you've made it this far?
You know, I don't think much about it. I certainly don't feel like drinking and using anymore.
I don't mean as far as drinking. I mean as far as your age.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for reminding me that I'm a pathetic old guy.
No. Well, I mean, I'm getting up there too, but 65 seems like a youngster.
Yeah.
You know,
well, yeah, you know what, though? I mean, people are kind of surprised. They say, you know, oh, geez, he's 79 years old, and he's still got this kind of energetic music. But the thing is that it seems to me you get better at anything you continue to do. Dion's 81, and his newest album was #1 on the blues charts from an 81-year-old guy. Probably he doesn't think too much about it either.
Bob Lind is here in the studio. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna play a song from your new album and hear what it sounds like. But you're here with your guitar, and we're gonna hear a pared down song from your album.
Good. Yeah, I'm going to do the title song here. It's called Something Worse Than Loneliness. Yes, I'm lost without you, but I'm used to being lost. I'm not afraid of stepping over this hard line you've made me cross. I know the value and the cost of what lies broken here inside. But I goddamn well can stand it, 'cause my truth still hasn't died. And my heart feels like a tombstone in my chest. But there's something worse than loneliness. Walking through the mall, I saw a man and wife go by. He had regrets wrapped to his shoulders. There was ice behind his eyes. She used her voice to brutalize. Her words, like vicious birds of prey, were diving deep into his soul and tearing bits of flesh away. His bones were buried in the creases of her dress. And there's something worse than loneliness. The hunters place the decoys on the lake and hide away. The birds fly down to find the cold charade of painted clay. They leave the sanctum of the sky so trustingly. They die for company. They die for company. They die for company. Yes, these nights are long, and yes, these silences run deep. I feel the sweet deceit of memory crush my faith and steal my sleep, as I am struggling to keep this thing that makes me what I am. As this longing for you gathers like a flood behind a dam, and I'm lonely here without you, I confess. But there's something worse than loneliness.
Bob Lind, live in the WLRN studio. It kind of brings chills. I recognize that voice. It's classic, Bob. That's great. When did you write that song? And
Within the last, well, let's see, about a year ago, because it took us a year and a month to finish the album. So and a lot of these were written very close to the time. In fact, some of them were written during the time I was making the album.
Oh, okay. Did COVID affect you? Did you tour? You still tour?
No, didn't do any touring during this last 2 years. I just don't want to. I don't want to ask people to come out and take that risk.
Yeah.
I mean, even if I did, I'm a little chicken myself of it. But no, I didn't tour during that time. But now I'm eager to get back at it, and I want to play this club called the Luna Star Cafe eventually. If she'll have me back.
Well, it's exciting that you're still writing songs and still making albums.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and I hasten that, especially this album. I'm just, God, I mean, obviously, as we talked about before, that it's very brave of you to play this very electric thing that you're going to play. And the whole album is pretty much, it's blues, it's electric blues, it's some jazz in it, and a lot of rock and roll. And, I just feel like it's more me than anything I've ever recorded.
Did you ever consider yourself a folk musician?
I was thinking about that the other day. The guy asked me that in an interview, and you know, I did at a time. There was a time when I did think of myself, and I was just rereading one of my novels, my first novel, and it's all about those days and folk music and what it was like and how exciting it was. It doesn't excite me anymore. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong. Any kind of music where people play it well is fascinating, but I've lost the thrill. Not of acoustic, but you know, that's why I like the title of your show, folk and acoustic. You know.
Well, were you part of that Greenwich Village scene? Back
Never
in the
went.
60s?
Never went to Greenwich Village.
No.
Well, except years later, years after that.
It was Denver that you were based.
Denver, and then I went from Denver to L.A.
In fact, one of your awards, you were part of the Denver Hall of Fame,
Yeah,
right?
the Denver Music Hall of Fame. Yes.
Yeah. So do you return there often, or is that?
No, you know I don't. I went back to for the induction ceremony. It was with Judy Collins. She was inducted the same day that I was, and.
But you were embraced by the folk community.
Yeah, I know, and that's not that I have anything against folk music or against folk players. It's just I've gone in a different direction. I like jazz, and again, here's the problem: you start talking about categories and genres, and they're just so limiting. They close you right up.
Yeah. Well, I understand that, but it's I don't know. As a singer-songwriter, you can't do much as a singer-songwriter in jazz, can you?
Well, I don't know. Did you Steely Dan? You know, they were, and you know,
That's
Donald
right.
Fagen. You know, they're singer-songwriters.
So in your travels, you must have come across some really impressive musicians and artists. So did you meet you haven't met all the people who covered your songs, I assume.
No, I haven't. But I knew a lot of them. But you know, stars intimidate me. I don't have very many close friends among famous people. I mean, you know, I guess you could call it certainly Dion is a friend.
Well, he lives down here now. Too.
Right, yeah. Uh-huh.
Do you find yourself as a novelist in company of other novelists as well?
No, you know, I don't have very many friends, Mike. I really don't. You know, I got a girlfriend who loves me, you know, and, you know, when we're not ready to murder each other, you know, we get along really well.
Well,
but I'm not very social, is what I'm
You
saying.
just won an award for your playwriting, and it's surprising that there's not a strong community of playwrights or novelists like there is a strong community for musicians.
I don't like us. We're not personable people for the most part.
Well, tell me about your new album. What kind of reception is it getting?
Oh man, it's just some of the best reviews I've had in my life are coming from, and they're still not out yet. There's one coming up in Goldmine, but magazine Uncut.
Well, just getting it reviewed in Goldmine is quite an accomplishment.
Yeah.
So you do people like you, even though you don't know these people.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm exaggerating, Mike, but you know, in Uncut, I got an 8 out of 10 thing, and then I got a 4-star rating in Shindig magazine. So I'm real happy with the reviews. It's nice when people get you, you know, because I don't, you know, I hate to be pessimistic, but I don't think this is gonna sell. None of my albums sell. You know, no teeny bopper is gonna have a shirtless picture of me on her poster of me on her wall. You know, I'm 79 years old, and you know. But I want to get this music to the people who will care about it and will like it.
Well, you have a strong fan base. Is this something?
Yeah, you know I do. I have people all over the world, 5 or 6, you know, who get me and are not just, oh, Elusive Butterfly was one of my favorite songs. And I'm not discounting that. I'm not putting that down. There's a lot of people more people know Elusive Butterfly than know Bob Lind. But there is a tight little cadre of fans all over, particularly like in England and here to some extent, who get what I'm doing and don't care that I'm not pigeonholed and want to hear what I'm doing now.
Was there a time when you were sick of people knowing you just as the Elusive Butterfly guy?
Oh, you know what they say, the double edge. Of course I'm happy that people like Elusive Butterfly, of course. But, you know, I don't want, you know, look, when you were in high school, I'm guessing you probably got some pictures taken of you, and you had your hair some certain way that you thought was cool. Looks ridiculous now. And you don't, and somebody say, I know Mike Stock, this is him. And they show this picture. And, you know, it's not that I'm ashamed of Elusive Butterfly, but I'm doing something that's so different now. So, you know, yes and no.
Well, congratulations on that success. That's has that. Well, what was the reason you came down to South Florida?
Oh, God. My then wife, her mother had cancer, and her father was having a tough time taking care of her. And so I was living in Hawaii then, and I was writing. We were living in Hawaii, and I was writing, you know, novels and plays. And I figured I can do that anywhere. We might as well. And then I just stayed here.
Because you like it.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. I must like it.
Bob Lind is here. Let's hear another song from your new album.
All right. I'm going to finger pick one because I know I can't get off Michael Stock's show without finger picking something. So this. He was a loner in the schoolyard. He didn't like the other kids. He told them all to keep their distance. So they did. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone is what he said with words and looks. No, you can't borrow my books. Find another place to stand. Don't include me in your plans. Leave me alone. Later on, there was a woman. She saw the best of what he was. She couldn't find a way to reach him, though no one does. Leave me alone, he said. Let's just keep it loose and free. I don't need this weight on me. She tried and struggled to get through, till there was nothing left to do but walk away alone. Time destroys our bodies and our pride. Time doesn't change us much inside. It felt like any other morning. The smell of bacon in the air. He just dropped dead there in the kitchen. No one was there. Leave me alone. Another night, another dawn. Nobody noticed he was gone. And at the funeral yesterday, nobody had a word to say. They left him there alone.
Bob Lind in the studio. That's a rather sad song.
Really?
Were you channeling your childhood, or?
I don't know, Mike.
That's-
I'm
afraid to ask you that because you're a novelist. You just make stuff up.
There you go. Yeah. No, I that could be me. That guy could be me. And I know a lot of guys like that who are going to die alone because they've deliberately wanted to keep them. I'm just talking about this stuff is so boring, but basically, you know, I know a lot of people who shut the world out, and there's a tendency in me, and I don't want it to happen. I don't want it to happen anyway, but I know a lot of people to whom it's going to happen.
All right, well, that is a sad song. Bob Lind is in the studio. His new album is called Something Worse Than Loneliness. And did you write the album? Is this album for some just your fans? I guess it's.
Well, what do you mean? But I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, so far we've heard a couple sad songs, and I guess you're trying to. The message is to.
Well, you did. I did pick two particularly sad songs today, but there's some happy songs on it too.
Okay.
"Roll the Windows Down" is a happy song, and the song that you're kind enough to play coming up, called "Born for This."
I'll play the song "Born from This," and this kind of typifies the sound of your album. How would you describe the music? Because we just established it's not a folk album.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. You know, I don't know, Mike, and I'm not being evasive. I just don't know what to call it. You know, because I just know this. I write these songs, and you know, by the way, the song I just played you, it sounds completely different on the album. Both of the songs that I played. You know, there's brass in this album. You know, I created, and I don't know how they do it. You know, but Jamie Hoover is the guy who did that.
So you gave Jamie Hoover a song like you just played, and he takes
There
it
you go.
away.
Yes, I recorded. You know, as I've said, I hate recording, so I make these terrible demos, these terribly unlistenable demos. But he gets the song through, so I'd send him the song, and he does a basic track, and then he sends it back to me, and I put the guitar on, and the vocal on, and I played some electric guitar too, and you know, and then he put George on, you know, who is phenomenal. He's not only a great performer, singer, yes, Wurzbach, and but he also teaches music theory at Monmouth University, and so he knows what he's doing.
I assume you have final say on what it sounds
Oh, sure, yeah, and they wouldn't want it any other way. They're trying to serve the songs, and that's what I like about them. Besides their incredible chops.
Well, when you work with your producers, they ask you questions like, "What do you see in this song? How would you like this to sound?"
Yes, here's what we do. I talk to Jamie in terms of emotion. I said, I want this to crack the spine. I want this to, you know, and he knows what I mean when I say that, you know. I want this to tickle the heart and then grab it. See, so he knows how to translate that stuff, and George does too, you know. They know how to transfer that stuff into sound, meaningful sound.
What was the message behind "Born for This"? What would you tell?
Well, why don't we listen to it? No, and you know, I know it sounds like I'm being Dylan here, evasive, you know, but it's a reason a guy that's 79 years old is still doing this. You know, I have a friend, a kind of an ex-friend now, I guess. I don't know, but she got my girlfriend by herself. She said, "Well, why is he still doing this?" You know, I mean, it's like, because some people, the only thing they can imagine for staying in music is so you can be a star and make a lot of money. Stardom scares the hell out of me. I wouldn't want to be a star. I didn't like it then when I was for that 15 minutes, and I don't want it now. I want to be able to communicate the emotions that I live with to other people, and some of them are sad. You know, there are people who say, "Why do you want to sing these sad songs? Why, you know, geez, that just brings people down." I don't think it is. You never hear people talk about laugh in your beer songs. There's a certain release that you get when you hear somebody. You know, I always compare it to Richie Havens. When I heard Richie Havens sing, there was something that was relieved in me. There was a freedom that said, "Ah, somebody else feels this too," and so I'm not alone with these emotions. So that's one of the reasons why I inflict my misery on other people.
Bob Lind's new album, "Something Worse Than Loneliness," and we're going to listen to "Born for This," and we'll come back after and say goodbye. Okay?
Sure.
Here's Bob Lind's new song. Wow. Okay. Let me see something.